Okay, stereotypes and being an ally.
So I think stereotypes for Down syndrome are quite common. This kind of thing, and then also that they are not very physically active is because parents just keep them at home, do not involve them in sports, do not think they can do it because they have hypotonia. Sometimes they're frustrated, they cannot follow. It's not that they don't want to do, they need you to really hold their hand and include them in the activity and find a way to adapt it. Then they want to do. Actually, when you find that way, they are super enthusiastic participants of anything you want them to do.
What I was reading about an international mindset.
Yes.
And an international mindset being one that can appreciate other people being right even though they're not the same as you.
Yes.
It transcends this discussion around Down syndrome, special needs, neurodivergence, whatever.
Yeah.
It becomes the whole, just a completely different culture, right? But still, that can be right.
Yes, yes.
You know?
What I like about Taekwondo is like it gives some inner confidence and also certain amount of thing that helps my children feel like it's okay. For the things that matter, we can stick up for ourselves.
Okay, stereotypes and being an ally. These are two topics I want to kind of frame for you and then let you run with. So the first one is, can you tell us about the stereotype around Down syndrome, especially in Malaysia? And then also the specific example of somebody, a parent, is hosting a birthday party for their child and they want to invite multiple kids from the class, and one of them may have Down syndrome or be neurodivergent in some sort of way.
Okay.
Could you give some advice for that in relation to maybe they only have the stereotype in their mind?
Yep.
And so it's like tips for how they can be an ally or how they can evolve from the stereotype into a healthier perception.
Okay. So I think stereotypes for Down syndrome are quite common. They usually view them as being a bit dull and a little bit overweight, because actually they do have these weight issues because of their hypotonia. If you are not a parent who was very aware of these things and you didn't focus, like for me, Isha started swimming at 6 months old. She's a very strong swimmer now, and it made her very strong, you know, aside from all the therapy that she did. So actually she doesn't have these issues. Sometimes people are surprised when I tell them that she's the child with Down syndrome. One person said, "Where's the child?" You know, I said, "This is the child," you know. So it's all these stereotypes because we have low awareness of how to manage them. And also the tongue, sometimes they always see the child with Down syndrome, we say, oh, she's Down syndrome because the tongue sticking out, because they didn't work on the oral motor muscles. If you know, you work in this area, so if I do a big action, I can do this, but I need a lot of work on my smaller muscles to bring a cup to my mouth. Similar with the oral motor muscles, if I do not work on the big, if I only work on the big muscles, then she can say big sounds. But if you notice our speech is very nuanced, you go up and down, because she's working on the tongue, on the little muscles around her cheeks. She used to do a lot of blowing exercises, sucking the straw, and then chewing tubes. You know, when she was small, we did a lot of oral motor work, which is a one branch of speech therapy, which not many people know about. So this kind of thing, and then also that they are not very physically active is because parents just keep them at home, do not involve them in sports, do not think they can do it because they have hypotonia. So these are a lot of stereotypes that people have. And then because of these stereotypes, of course, they are slow learners also, but because of these stereotypes, they have very low expectations of them. And this is the problem with government school. They say, tak apalah, just leave them in the class. As long as they're going to school, do it for social reason. She's here to also learn about things, you know. She's not here for the social reason. This is what I always get. She said, never mind, just keep her in school for social reasons. I said, no. So for her, like this promise thing, I like it because at home, I also have my own mantras. I make her repeat to herself. I always tell her, Isha, what do you need to say? I can do difficult things. She always tell me I can do difficult things and I can succeed. So normally default, if you have a special needs class, if if they're sometimes they're frustrated, they cannot follow. It's not that they don't want to do. They need you to really hold their hand and include them in the activity and find a way to adapt it. Then they want to do. Actually, when you find that way, they are super enthusiastic participants of
Yeah.
anything you want them to do because they love the sense of achievement as well, just like any other kid. But if you do not make that special effort to draw her into the thing, then you just say, never mind lah, tak apa lah, give her colouring to do. This is always the default. Special needs. Never mind, she can't follow the lesson, so just give them the colouring sheet and the colour pencil. This is always the low expectation thing. And
Right.
I really don't subscribe to this model. You know, even when she went to camp, first time she went to camp in Port Dickson with the school, they said, how she going to cope with self-management, keeping her luggage. In fact, she came back with everything intact. My son is the one that usually loses things in the thing. And also, I train her, every day before the camp for 2 months, we make her bring a bag into the bathroom at home. When it's wet, we make her change her clothes in the wet bathroom so that we simulate what happens in the camp so she can follow us. So it's all about drills and simulation. So this is the thing about, that's why I think the stereotype is that it's because people don't want to make an effort to adapt and to include, take a little bit more time to include them. So to your question about the party thing, sometimes I think parents, I don't blame them, parents who don't have special needs kids, you might feel that parents with special needs kids are very sensitive. Maybe you don't want to say the wrong thing, or you don't want to approach them, you don't want to ask about their child, but actually sometimes parents with special needs kids, they're very tired because they're always managing some problem or challenge that they have to manage. And then they also very fearful people don't include their children. Okay. But also it's not a very nice thing. Like for me, I feel it sometimes it's very tough for me to ask for help. When you ask for help, sometimes you feel weak and you have to, it's a bit subservient also. You have to make that, take that step and say, can you please, be nice, ask your child to be like, include my kid in things. It's not a nice feeling to have to do that. So actually it would be nice if other parents just get over their own fear of things and self-consciousness also, to just think about it as a kind of just being genuine. Even if you ask the wrong thing, it doesn't matter, because if you ask it with the right spirit and mindset, I think any special needs parent will be very welcoming of a gesture to understand their life and their child's life and their child's challenges a bit better. And if you want to invite them, maybe that the child has certain challenges being in a crowd or in a ASD. Sometimes they don't like to be in big places with a lot of people. ADHD has a lot of things. Sometimes they cannot help it. It's just like they may ask a lot of questions. So or even someone like Isha. Actually, Isha, the thing I'm finding now as she grows older is that I don't think kids are mean to her, because the kids she has grown up with, they know her, and the newer kids also, they've come into a culture in the classroom where they know already they're inclusive. The culture is already inclusive from the older kids that were there.
Yeah.
But they are not super inclusive either. So sometimes they're talking among themselves and she doesn't always get it. She finds it hard to insert herself in a conversation. And then these are like tweens, they will talk about their tween things. She likes the same thing, but she's not so sophisticated in her conversation skills. She finds it very hard to include herself. So I can see sometimes it's a bit heartbreaking. I can see she's peripheral. She'll stand at the sideline. She wants to go in, but she doesn't know how to go in. But if a child said, hey, come Isha, what do you think about this? She will happily rattle off. She's a very enthusiastic follower or participant, but she's not going to be your leading the conversation or starting the conversation or kind of having some very mature topic or like Taylor's. She likes Taylor Swift, but she's not going to have all those things. She knows so many things about it. So it's that kind of thing. So if you invite them to parties, I think you have to make a special allowance. You have to let your child know, if possible, to try to observe. It's good also for children to learn, how to work a room, like socially, right? As an adult also, it's a very useful skill, right? You go to a party and then, or you host a party, you want everybody to have a good time at your party. You want to see who's the outlier. Are they feeling uncomfortable? Is it a social awkward, cannot doesn't know anybody at the party? How do you work a room? I think it's useful for children to learn it at a young age also.
And it's good leadership, being
Yeah.
able to bring people into discussions,
Yes,
being able to
yes.
get the most out of people and
Yes.
their contribution.
Yes. So that's what I think lah about the stereotype. Just have this, just remove the stereotype that they're always weak and they need pity and sympathy and they need charity from you. They don't really need it. They just need that little bit of I think one concept I always talk about now is equality versus equity. Because equality means everybody gets the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if you have a wall, there is a boy in a wheelchair, and then a tall boy, and then a slightly shorter kid. You give everybody 2 planks. Okay, everybody, this is equality.
Yeah.
But can the kid on the wheelchair see over the wall?
No.
The tall kid is.
And he didn't need it anyway.
Yeah, he didn't need it anyway. And then the short kid, maybe it will help him a little bit. It's equality, but it's everybody. Sometimes, when lately I've been talking about exam help for Isha for the next coming year, they said no. It's like, is it fair? Is it fair? I was thinking in my mind, is it fair to whom? It's not fair for her already from the start. She needs this leg up to help her to reach that fairness that she needs. Other people, you don't. It's not fair. Why is it not fair to them? They are already regular kids, But people have this. They don't realize what they're saying. Is it fair? Is it fair? Like fair. They don't want other parents to complain. How come she gets special treatment? But she needs it. She needs
Yeah.
So what she needs is equality. She need maybe
Equity.
Sorry,
Yeah.
she needs 4 planks maybe to go and look over the wall, and then the other one needs one. The other guy doesn't need anything at all, and the other guy shouldn't be complaining because he's already accessing what he needs to access, right? So I think we have to be very conscious about things we say, but I think don't be afraid to make a mistake. I mean, I've had people say things to me which I feel if they said it to me in the right spirit and they were not malicious or they were not trying to insult me or anything, I feel like it's fine. If you come to me with an open mind and you really genuinely wanted to find out, I will be very open to any questions or anything. Maybe not everybody is like that, but I think you can try, yeah.
Right. Yeah. The expectations and the expectations that people have. So with Down syndrome, sometimes people, there's the mental, the cognitive aspect. There's the social aspect. It's the advice about not being prejudiced, not being prejudicial, right? I think it's universal. Not having a frame of somebody in your mind before you know them. Don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, it really isn't just a thing for Down syndrome.
Yep.
Race is a big thing in Malaysia,
Yes.
in such a multi-ethnic environment, and being racist. I
Yep.
think we can all agree to limit your prejudice.
Yep.
I think the same for Down syndrome. It's the same for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
It's not unique to
Yep.
Down syndrome.
Yep.
It's understanding that you're dealing with an individual.
Yep.
First and foremost, that individual is a unique individual.
Yep.
And that individual, if they have some challenges, you can actually have a conversation
Yep.
around that.
Yep.
You don't need to be scared. You don't need to. You can pick up the phone and say, this is the idea that we have. Do you think that it would work out? And then I think the parent is more than happy to help things along the way as well. If they think, you want to go to this place and do that thing, well, I'll maybe keep an eye. For example, we had the Pokemon gym yesterday, and a couple of we've had it with these types of events, that a couple of the parents they don't want to just drop the kid and go because they know that their kid isn't like that. So they want to be around. They have like a little plan. You know, they're going to test the waters, see how the youngest one does, or whatever is the situation. I mean, it's not. It's a bigger picture thing. There are plenty kids who don't just rock up at a party and get on with it.
Yeah.
There's plenty kids like that.
Yep.
But you can manage it.
Yeah, it's about, I agree. It's actually about, but actually I think largely these days I find a lot of issues are actually they are parenting problems, because at home there are some parents who do not who just, they are also racist. They are also this kind of thing. They have very inappropriate views on a lot of things. That's why I think those of us who don't, we really need to be brave, and we need to tell our children to be brave for this certain, there must be boundaries. So there are certain things that are not acceptable. You cannot say these things. You cannot, we need to, the child to understand that sometimes, children don't like it. They're scared also. They don't want to be the bad guy snitching or whatever. I say, but I always tell my kids, especially my son, if the person said this thing about, like, because he's half Indian, if they said something about your being Indian and darker and everything, this is something you have to tell the teacher. I don't really care whether it's like you snitching or people are unhappy, right? Because you need to highlight this, then the school can take a stand and they can take action. Because sometimes you don't say anything, then nobody says anything, then it can passes, and then the child thinks it's okay to continue doing it.
It snowballs.
Yeah, it's snowball. Religion is another one. All these things, So I feel we can't. This is how we change the country and the society. If we don't say it, then everybody is just this like quietly accepting all these things. We're complicit, in a way, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah. I think that, I mean, I grew up in a very, very different environment. Okay. It was rural Scotland.
Okay.
There were two ethnicities
Right.
in my village. There was one person who wasn't Scottish, basically. Okay. And it turned out that his daughter became a famous singer.
Oh.
Emily Sande.
Oh.
Yeah, her dad was one of my teachers in school.
Wow.
But it was very, very different. But it was also very, how to say, rural.
Yeah, I know, I understand.
Very
I mean,
rural, very ignorant and close-minded as well in its own way. But yeah, I think that, I mean, it's one of the amazing things about Kuala Lumpur is that it's so, especially being in Mongkiara and in that side of town, it's so international. It's not just Malaysians.
Yeah.
It's so international. We get all sorts. And it's that cosmopolitan, that it's, again, like what I was reading of you'd sent over from Dr. Vincent about an international mindset.
Yes.
And an international mindset being one that can appreciate other people being right even though they're not the same as you.
Yes.
And I think that is really cool.
Yes.
And it transcends this discussion around Down syndrome, special needs, neurodivergence, whatever.
Yep.
It becomes the whole, just a completely different culture.
Yep.
Right? But still, that can be right.
Yes.
It's
just about, that's why what I like about Chua Kwang Do is like it gives some inner confidence and also certain amount of thing that helps my children feel like it's okay. For the things that matter, we can stick up for ourselves for certain things, so that other people know they have these boundaries, and we mustn't pursue these things that are hurtful to other people. Yeah. So I feel it's good that kind of building inner and also some physical confidence also.
And the familiarity, like part of the if we talk about the social side, right? What I really like about the kind of current community, it's really settled now. We had like 100 members more or less, about 80 who continued through the pandemic, including Akash. I remember.
We continue over the pandemic.
Yeah.
Some people didn't.
Not many did. And
yeah.
if they didn't, I wouldn't be here today. I would be in Scotland. So yeah, like it's really settled. Like it's kind of, there's a melting pot there. It's very diverse community. And it's cool to see kids who wouldn't cross paths
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah.
in the same space,
Yep.
doing a mutual activity and bonding.
Yep.
And then especially the additional community events that we've been doing have been amazing for that.
Yep.
It's adding a whole nother depth to it.
Yep.
But like, it's a cool, like I love Monkiara.
Mm.
It's such a cool place in terms of like, I love going for lunch in Sagambut and then back to the comfort of Monkiara, whatever. But just the kind of the melting pot that we have of even the kids, a lot of it is which school do they go to? We've got kids that go to SK, we've got kids that go to SJKC,
Yep.
we've got kids that go to all different international schools. The ones down the road, like Garden, the Alice Smith, and so on, like the kind of the very, very top end, and also everything in between. It's just a really cool mix of people
Yep.
and families, and I think that that's very positive. And I feel like our Down syndrome members are a hugely valuable
Yep.
members of our community, and I hope that other education institutions, first of all, I wish upon them that they could have the resources to be able to do it,
Yep.
because I understand that the resources can be limiting depending on their model,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not everyone is focused on such small group classes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I get that. It is kind of, it was a very small niche. It's grown a lot.
Yeah,
In the
yeah.
time I've been
Yep,
here,
yep.
a lot of other martial arts schools have started teaching kids in kind of a more similar way to how we were. But 9 years ago, there really wasn't
Yeah,
much
yeah,
for
quite small.
kids. Yeah, that way, that model, like the international school model of
Yeah.
martial art education in KL was very, very
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
And I think
small.
that's why we grew to like
Yeah,
400 members
yeah.
in 4 or 5 years or something. It was crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that they're massively valuable members for the other students and for the instructors.
Yep.
And yeah, it's been such a great chat about the merits of inclusive education, and I hope that it's been an interesting conversation for not just members of like families who have someone who's neurodivergent in their
Yes.
family, but also for neurotypical families, that it's a little it's a conversation that can be like curious. People can be curious about, but it's difficult for them to have.
Yeah, yeah.
And they maybe want to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe they have someone in not their inner circle, but one of their outer circle. They're starting to come into contact, maybe at their Taekwondo class, maybe at school, maybe somewhere. And all they have in their mind is a stereotype. They don't really know where to
Yeah.
start in terms of learning about
Yep.
this.
I mean, I think one thing I could add is that sometimes you don't know when you learn about neurodiversity and other children with these special needs and neurodiverse children, you do not understand what they are actually going through every day to be in the same place with a regular child. Like Isha has to overcome hypotonia. She has some level of coordination issues, but she has to overcome them even more than an normal child, and she's multitasking. It's not easy for her. Certain very direct instructions that are not broken down, it's not easy for her also. So she's actually grappling with many things every day to stay regular. Actually she is making maybe 5 to 10 times more effort than a regular child. So I think if you learn about it, you will be appreciate it a lot more, and then you realize that actually they have a lot of strengths because they are overcoming a lot more things in their head, in their body management. Then you begin to realize actually they're quite strong in their own way, not in the weak way that you perceive for them to be, is what you are comparing them to your version of normal. Actually they are super normal, in a different way, right?
Yeah. I had the first eye opener for me was with Miss Ting, and yeah, like I said, she was like, if there's anyone who's the reason why I got my start in Malaysia, it was Miss Ting who got me started for sure, and her daughter, and seeing what she had done for her daughter, and I was so impressed with her husband, Mr. Go, such a supportive father figure, and yeah, like that family, it becomes the thing of like, these are all the therapies. This is the schedule, and it's like full time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a really
full-time
it's really
job.
full time thing
Yeah.
to be if you go for it 100%,
Yep.
if you say that we're going to make the power plays here, and the thing is that if you've got other families, and it's I know plenty of families in KL who are making the power plays with a neurotypical child, and that child is, national level in something, or is like really making these big achievements, and they have the external validation of those big achievements. For someone significantly neurodivergent, your big achievement is maybe not even considered normal,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's so much effort,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's your big
Yeah.
achievement.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't really an eye opener for me, but it's something I'm well aware of. I'm well aware of it with Ting, the amount of effort that the family put in there. But I don't think that necessarily it's common knowledge how much effort is put in by families with neurodivergent children, and also the challenges they face,
Yep.
especially in
Yep.
in
And you
KL.
don't have to label yourself as inclusive, special needs friendly, all these things. You don't have to. You just have to be open.
We never do.
Yeah,
we
nobody
never
does.
we never
My school
say
doesn't do it either.
no. We never say that
Yeah,
we are some.
yeah. Don't have to.
We have a special class or
No
whatever,
need,
whatever.
yeah.
No, everybody gets the same treatment.
Yeah.
You book yourself a 1-to-1 assessment,
Yeah.
and then we see how we go from there.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it's just about treating everybody regularly and fairly. So if you cannot manage, like when she started, she couldn't manage, then we say, okay, we wait another year and we see how it goes. So we can make those decisions. We don't have to label anybody or have this thing, and then it kind of puts a limitation on them actually.
Yeah. Actually, the first time that I had a student with Down syndrome was not directly my student. It was I was already at that stage of having my team, and it was all here in Malaysia. And I remember the question, "Oh, this student has Down syndrome. What should we do?" I'm like, "Well, do a trial class and
Yeah, that's right.
see how it goes."
Yeah.
And it was just like, just wing it.
Yeah,
Go for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
See how it is. And then, I mean, especially with the way that we're set up, it's very strategic, like behind the scenes, the curriculum and the way that we do the games and whatever, and the instructor training. The classes should be easy enough that you have the mental capacity for kids being kids.
Yep.
Because kids are all kids.
Yep.
They're gonna do something weird at some point.
Yep.
And so again, it just comes down to, like, you don't really need to be scared. You just go for it, and
Yeah.
then don't make a massive deal about it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Especially that spinning sidekick was a very cool memory that I have.
Okay.
Teaching Isha.
I haven't seen it.
No, because it's one of those things
Yeah,
that is like it's a very difficult skill.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult skill. And then you just say, we try that, let's see how.
Yeah.
Let's see how. And then you see that, okay, they're picking up, that one's got it, that one's got it, that one's got it. Okay, we're getting there, and then we're like, we're gonna persevere.
Yeah.
We're gonna persevere. If we don't get it this week, we're gonna get it next week. But we'll get it. And then you get it.
Yeah. She always supercharged for class, She loves it so much that she's always tired, also wants to go, that kind of thing.
Go for it. I would say, don't lower the bar with your expectation. That would be my number one piece of advice, for just interacting with neurodivergent people.
Yes.
Is see how.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind to it, and be kind, and be gentle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't assume that somebody can't do it.
Yes.
Don't do that, because that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
If everybody has that around you.
Yep.
And it's also the same with naughty children,
Yes.
because I never call them naughty. I never think of them as naughty.
Yeah.
Everyone else says they're naughty. The teachers, I had that problem at school.
Right.
I was known as naughty. So
Right.
even a teacher I never met before
Oh, naughty kid.
knows me as
coming.
naughty already. I say, well, do you know why I'm naughty?
Yeah.
Do you know why I have these behaviors? No, you don't.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes like this big problem.
Yeah.
Big problem. And so it's across the board. Treat kids as kids, And especially if you have the opportunity to be teaching them in small groups and you have the opportunity to give them kind of individualized education and to build some rapport, that's when you can also assume that if people think they have, if people have a negative label on a child, either one, it's actually the parents,
Yep.
which is sad
Yep.
but true, or it's some negative trait of the parents manifesting in the child,
Yep.
in the child's behavior is number one. Or two, the other teachers don't have the resources, skill, or personality or aptitude to interact with the child in a way that is
Yeah, and
getting the
sometimes
most out of
they
them.
need the support. Then you find, okay, maybe I can get them some support, or I find different teachers with a certain type of personality. Then you kind of, it's a learning process. It's a learning process for everyone. Actually, even the school, the parents, the children themselves, even the children in the classroom. Everything's a learning process. And I think if you approach everything with an open mind and a kind of openness to learn about things around you, then diversity is not an issue.
Yeah, and also like if the parent is preparing a child 2 months before doing simulations for camp with the backpack in the bathroom getting ready, I mean, the parents are good. They are by force of character, by determination, they're also gonna help the child to come out with an outcome because they're more aware of the child's weaknesses than anybody else. And it makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference.
Yep. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so I think just kind of wrapping everything up, we've had a really interesting conversation about Down syndrome, specifically in Malaysia, and then the topic I'm very passionate about, which is inclusive education and the merits of that, and that inclusive education doesn't mean that you don't make achievements, but it does probably affect your relationship with the achievements that you get. And especially, I think, a hugely important topic being a graceful loser and cultivating a growth mindset. And then also it touched on an international mindset where other people can be different but can also be right. And that my success is not mutually exclusive to your success.
Yep.
So yeah, really, really interesting from that point of view. And then very nice to talk about Choi Kwando as well. At least something that I actually know about. And then thank you for sharing your tips on and guidance around the stereotype and some practical advice. I guess for families with children with Down syndrome, especially young parents, this could be very valuable.
Yep.
Hearing your success story.
Yep.
So far, your success story up until this point.
The
progress, exactly, up until this point.
Yep.
And then also for families who don't have a neurodivergent person in their inner circle, but maybe in the outer circle, and they're curious, they want to learn more, they want to develop in that area, then I hope that this has been an interesting conversation for them to join in on.
Yep, hope so.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining. And thank you to listeners, and hope you come in for the next episode.
Yep. Thank you.
Hi guys, we just filmed the second episode of the Inwards and Onwards podcast. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then share with someone that you think would find this interesting.